Hey guys, David here. So the amazing Goodwood Festival of Speed has finally concluded. It was a few days ago, and I think we got incredible moments all throughout the event. Lots of memorable moments, lots of photo op moments, right? Then there's something more on the relatable side of things. You know, cars that you and I could actually relate to and actually have a past with. And things like the Honda Prelude, which is a car many people watching right now probably owned in the past in a different part of their life when the 5th gen was out, or the 4th gen with the 4-way steering, all that cool stuff. But the new Prelude was basically shown off at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, and basically the closest we've seen to production. So today we're gonna talk about the brand new Honda Prelude, how the Prelude is related to some of the other cars in Honda's lineup, and also one big disappointment. So let's get into it. By the way, hit the like button or you are forced to admit that the CVT transmission was the greatest invention in the auto industry, especially those Ultima ones, if you know what I'm saying. Also, I have a really fun grassroots event happening on July 26th called Tandem Trials. It's where two drivers go through an obstacle course and they try to make it to the end before each other. They're basically racing and drifting at the same time. It's a ton of fun. The feedback's been amazing, so I appreciate all of you who have come to show up for it. There are driver spots left, and spectators are also welcome. It's completely family friendly, and I'd love to see you there. So, July 26th, Caffeine Octane Linear Raceway in Braselton, Georgia, across from Road Atlanta. Thank you guys so much for listening. So, some backstory and some context. The Honda Prelude was kind of announced or teased at the 2023 Tokyo Mobility Show. It's been pretty remarkable that the first concept is pretty close to what we're gonna get, it seems. And it was unveiled as a 2-door coupe, which is a huge win because I was one of the many that really wanted the Integra to be a 2-door coupe, basically a sequel to the DC2 Integra. But that didn't happen. The Type S is a really great car though. That is completely undeniable. Have to admit that. I mean, the Civic Type R is great, so of course the Type S is great. Anyways, then the Prelude had some spy shots of it testing and some camo, and I was stoked more or less to see that the body lines were the same basically, and it was still a 2-door. And there was even some rumors of a manual transmission, which got me really excited, and that's a huge win in today's car society, I guess you could say. When you hear that a sporty car is getting a manual transmission, it's like, we can all celebrate, we can all rejoice, even if it's on a very limited run. So fast forward to basically now at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, and we got this beautiful Boost Blue Pearl Prelude shown off at Goodwood. It's kind of like a grabber blue color from Ford, but Honda's kind of twist on it. Off the top of my head, I think they used it on the Civic as well. It's one thing to show off a car and have a little podium and be like, here's the new Prelude, but no, they drove it up the very famous hill at Goodwood, and it looked pretty good doing it, I'll be honest with you. Because that's where a car really shines, in my opinion, is where you get to see the body lines and everything in motion, and that's what you're gonna see on the road. Like the most important place, right? I do think though the Prelude was probably overshadowed by that beast of a car that Lexus or Toyota unveiled, whatever that crazy thing is. I can do a deep dive on that thing if you'd like me to do that as well, but man, that thing was bananas. But here's what we learned about the Prelude at Goodwood. We learned that the interior is heavily inspired by the Honda Civic and the Integra, but those interiors are pretty great, so not really worried about that, to be honest. And there's even physical knobs for climate control. Isn't it crazy how we're all so excited to just use analog buttons and knobs again? Oh, how times have changed. And overall, I think the car looks pretty great on the outside. Large C-pillars, nice coupe form. Some people on the front thinks it looks like an angry fish, but Magic Carp, I choose you. But golly, I cannot stand the new Honda logo with like the spaced out lettering. It just looks off for some reason for me. It's like going too minimalist, I guess. But what's kind of a bummer is that Honda was very clear that this, and I quote, isn't going to be the sportiest or zippiest coupe out there, which is fine. I'm not expecting the Prelude to be something crazy as fast as the Civic Type R, because maybe that would kind of overshadow something like the Civic Type R or the Integra Type S. Just a theory, but believe it or not, it will get the Civic Type R's dual axis front suspension, which is a huge win as well. along with the adaptive dampers that come from the Civic Type R. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It'll also be stiffer and the car will be even more rigid, which all sounds pretty great as well. But it's going to be a hybrid sports coupe, which my first gut feeling was, oh my gosh, maybe it could be kind of like a spiritual successor to the CRZ, which the CRZ is so underrated in my opinion. I know they get tons of hate for kind of its goofy styling and kind of wanting to be a modern CRX, but just didn't quite fit the bill. I actually was pretty shocked how fun the CRZ was to drive, and it's really underrated as a daily driver. You can get it as a manual transmission, it gets great gas mileage. So I was thinking more in that route of maybe the Prelude could be something like that. I even drove a supercharged one, and it was very memorable years ago. Still sticks out to me how weird that was. But Honda has been very quiet about the performance of this vehicle, like numbers or horsepower or torque or anything like that. What we do know is that it's got a 2-liter gasoline engine with 2 electric motors. But remember that disappointment I was mentioning early on in the video? Yeah, there's not gonna be a manual transmission. A 2-door Honda sports coupe. We finally get something sporty and also with 2 doors and all that. That's a little more elevated than a Civic. I was like, let's go, baby. Let's get this manual going. Back to the glory days of the 90s, right? And it's automatic only. We pretty much know that it's going to be automatic only. They did say they're gonna have some kind of Sports Plus feature or S Plus button kind of thing that you hit, and it simulates paddle shifting in the back with like an 8-speed gearbox. And also the engine sound's gonna be kind of artificially enhanced, which to me is not really that big of a deal anymore because pretty much every car company does that now. And this isn't like full-blown Hyundai Ioniq 5N where it's a full EV, but it's trying to trick your brain as a gasoline engine, and the Ioniq 5N does that extremely well. But there might be a possibility of there being a full EV version of this car. This is all speculation, but if you read the display board at Goodwood, it's kind of vague when it comes to that, I feel like. I'm reading straight off the display board that was at Goodwood. The hybrid sports coupe will make its European debut in 2026 as the flagship of Honda's fully electrified mainstream model range. Prelude models have always been a thrilling, high-performance showcase of the latest developments of Honda's cutting-edge technology, and this latest iteration is no exception, as the first offer to innovate Honda's S Plus shift technology, which simulates the sound and feel of quick, automatic gear changes. So I don't know. Maybe one of the versions will try to do the whole Hyundai Ioniq 5 thing. I don't know, because it's been such a hit in the EV space. I think it's the most fun EV to drive, so I'm not surprised if other companies are trying to follow suit with that and kind of create their own versions. What's really surprising is that the Prelude might be ready to sell by the end of this year in the United States and across the pond in Europe in 2026, which is actually much sooner than I expected, especially when you're bringing something to a car show as big as Goodwood and you're still saying it's pre-production. They're like, no, it's pretty much done, right? I'm just so glad the Prelude did not meet the same fate as the RSX as an SUV or the Eclipse as an SUV. At least it's a sporty 2-door car. Beggars can't be choosers, but it is disappointing that there's not going to be a manual. But it's probably because it would be ultra complicated with the 2 electric motors to try to figure that out with a manual transmission. That's kind of my gut feeling, but maybe it is trying to do the Hyundai thing. We'll see. Another debate is it just a rebadged Civic coupe? Well, I mean, even so, that's kind of what Honda did forever. They would take a platform and just spread it across the seas, right? And be like, here's a car, here's a car, here's a car, but all using very similar platforms because it saves money and cost, and it's a great platform. I'm not surprised that they're using Civic Type R parts or anything like that. It makes sense. To make it handle well and everything, they know it works. So as always, my videos, I like them to start open discussion about the car industry and what's going on. Put down in the comment section below what your first impression of the Honda Prelude is. Its looks, its drivetrain, the lack of a manual transmission. Put it down in the comment section below. And once again, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I appreciate every single one of you for stopping by. There's so much content on this website, and you decided to come here. I'm so thankful for that. And I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy. Have a wonderful day. Peace.